Welcome back to the Relationship Whisperer Show with Miss Dragonfly, where we discuss all things relationships with the aim to make marriage great again. Now today, again, I will be doing some chart readings as well as going over through some articles that have been in the news regarding relationships. And this particular article really decries feminism, and that is, feminism is a big part, and I would have to say a big obstacle that we need to overcome and address, of course, when we're talking about marriage. It has to be dealt with. So it is a very big component if we are to make marriage great again. All right. Now, first off, our reading for this show. Now, some of you, well, if you have been on YouTube, you might know about this YouTube person, well, comic, how to say comedian, called Nigel Ng. And one of his characters that he plays very well and is very popular is called Uncle Roger. Now, Uncle Roger is a character he plays where he puts on the stereotypical Asian uncle, so to speak, older person, even though it's like a 30-year-old guy. And then he pokes fun at people's cooking a lot of the times, plays up a lot of Asian stereotypes. And lots of things that he pokes fun of is, especially when he comes across Western chefs that try to do Asian dishes. Now, I say try because he really pokes fun at them and saying, look, they haven't made the cut. And he became very famous, well, because of one of his videos went viral. And that video was his critique on Jamie Oliver's attempt at making egg fried rice. Now, anyone that is a foodie or not even a foodie, but follow the news and the media would know Jamie Oliver. I mean, how could you not, unless you've been hiding under a rock? Now, as I understand it, Jamie Oliver got very famous because he was featured in his cooking show called The Naked Chef when he was very young, and is still very famous. And this is a surprising thing. He has not earned a Michelin star at all. And lots of famous chefs like Gordon Ramsay, who's earned multiple Michelin stars, and that contributes to their fame. And besides, he used those Michelin stars as part of his credentials, and he made a lot of shows like Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares and so to speak, that sort of thing. And he's been on a lot of shows like MasterChef as guests in Australian MasterChef. And also, I think he hosted the American MasterChef series as well. However, we would have to say that Jamie Oliver is probably equivalent to him in terms of fame as a chef, even though he's never won any Michelin stars. And he's known for a lot of people as basically an Italian chef. He specializes in Italian food, and he's written cookbooks, and he has opened Jamie Oliver's Italian, his chain of Italian restaurants, which, as we know, ended up not doing so well. It kind of like filed for bankruptcy, which is very surprising for someone of his fame. I mean, we would think that riding on the fame, you keep getting customers. And I remember when one of his restaurants opened, I went in and tried to go in, and they said, look, come back in an hour and a half, or we'll put your name down until a seat becomes available, and then we'll call you, which would be like an hour and a half's time. So I never actually got to experience and dine in a Jamie Oliver restaurant. Okay, that's the point. So I was thinking very good at Italian cooking and advocating for olive oil. He used olive oil, this, that, and so forth. However, I did notice that when he came to doing the Asian dishes, he didn't do so well at it. And that was me looking at some of his cooking shows that he did, and he tried to do a couple of dishes, like even a stir fry. I thought, Why did he do that? You're supposed to marinate the meat first rather than put it all seasoning inside it. So that was a little strange to me. And so now, Mr. Nigel Ng, as Uncle Roger, always has this orange top on and his persona, and he said, critiquing Jamie Oliver's egg fried rice that he was doing. Because of all things he did, he put chili jam in it. And no Asian fried rice that I've ever tasted, either Chinese, Thai, or Vietnamese, or whatever version, uses chili jam. So I guess Uncle Roger was correct in ripping him about regarding using chili jam in egg fried rice dish. And that video of him went viral, of him critiquing and criticizing Jamie Oliver's egg fried rice, went viral. And I guess he shot up in fame from that. And now it's always been the meme of, and I saw in one of these Uncle Roger videos, he's saying, you know what, I'd like to actually do a show with Jamie Oliver. I was critiquing. Because after that, he made a name for himself amongst the chefs. And I remember seeing a video with Gordon Ramsay saying, challenging Uncle Roger to some cook-off or something regarding, I think it was egg fried rice. No, I can't remember exact dish. And he even critiqued Gordon Ramsay's cooking. And I think Gordon Ramsay came off with it quite well. At least a lot better than the one he did of Jamie Oliver's. So I have to agree, like in terms of Asian dishes, Gordon Ramsay does do it better than Jamie Oliver. I think Jamie should stick to Italian when he does. And so as well as Nigella Lawson. I saw her, and in one of the Uncle Roger videos, he was critiquing. She was trying to make Vietnamese rice paper rolls. And of all things, she used glass noodles. And she glass noodles mixed with some mint. And I could not believe it. She put mixed fish sauce dressing in the glass noodles and wrapped it all up like that. The dressing is supposed to be the dipping sauce that you dip things in. And she wrapped it up and ate it, and she says that yum. And some people said yum, and I was there thinking, is it really yum? They had to do for the camera. So I know these chefs, they don't do all their own recipes. They've got people writing them. Though I'd really have to say the person that was writing that recipe for Nigella Lawson to do had a big miss. It wasn't a hit, it was a big miss. And anyone that's ever eaten rice paper rolls before, Vietnamese rice paper rolls, would know that's what she did there was the furthest thing from rice paper rolls that you can get. No, at least the ones I've seen. Couldn't really recognize it as such. So the thing is, I'm going to have a look at both their charts, each individually, and see what made them, whether aligned to their fame and what's in store for them. And also, if they were to meet, would they even get along? Okay, so we'll go to some music and we'll be right back where I will be looking at their charts. Now, coming back to Jamie Oliver and Uncle Roger, aka Nigel Ng. Now, looking at Jamie's chart, first of all, his birth details, what I'm able to obtain is he was born at 4:35 in the UK on the 27th of July, 1975. So his chart for the year is Yin Wood Rabbit, Yin Metal Snake for the month, and the day, Yin Water Rooster, and the hour is Yang Metal Monkey. Now, looking at all that, he is a resource chart, okay, which means his good elements are metal and earth, and the bad ones are actually fire and water. Now, he became famous all the way back in, I think the Naked Chef started in, I think, 1997 or 99, something like that. I think 1999 when things started taking off when he was on as part of the Naked Chef. And that time he was in the rabbit luck cycle, which there again, the rabbit was okay for him. So things were okay. His next luck cycle was in Yang Earth Tiger. Now, at that time, that's when his star really picked up. He started on the Naked Chef during the rabbit luck cycle, and then the next luck cycle, started with Yang Earth Tiger. That's when he became really famous. His star rose, so to speak. And the reason for that was that his Yang Earth in that luck cycle combines with his day master, which was Yin Water. Okay, so that was how he became famous. And also Earth is a lucky element for him. Now, a Dragon 2024. Now, it combines with the rooster, okay, which is the spouse. Now, his snake on his month pillar, it actually combines with his rooster in his day and his monkey in his hour. Yeah, so it combines with both. And so from that, we can say that, explains that he's bringing money into his family to support his wife and his kids. Okay, now, however, in 2024, Year of the Dragon, it combines with Rooster, the Spouse Palace, and also with the monkey, which is his hour, which is also his kids. So it means, it's either career versus kids and home life. So he's got a choice. But this period, he's not very strong. I mean, at the moment, he's gone into the Yang Fire, the Bing Yang Fire cycle. That actually isn't too good. It isn't too good. And combining with the dragon, draining that Yang Fire element as well, it's when he is pretty weak. And you've noticed we haven't heard much about Jamie Oliver recently. He's still famous. He's still well known. However, he hasn't had anything new come out, like any restaurant releases or new shows or anything being quite prominent. So during this time, he's been actually quite weak, which, looking at Mr. Nigel Ng's chart, well, he's been pretty weak, which means he's ripe for the picking and people criticizing him at this stage in his life because he's weaker. And here comes, and in it, stepped in Uncle Roger, aka Nigel Ng, to criticize him on his cooking, used him to criticize and gain fame from him. In other words, from that video, that very one notorious video. Now, looking at Nigel Ng's chart, he doesn't actually have a set pattern. He is what we call a changing chart, which is he changes according to the elements that come and combines and creates something different every time. Every different year, so to speak, we have a different zodiac sign, so it can make his chart different. And changing your charts is very typical of, say, actors and comedians, because they have to assume a different persona every time as part of their job. And so with someone that's with a changing chart able to change easily, that makes it pretty easy to be an actor. And actually that's one of the professions that we recommend for people that do have a changing chart to do, is do acting, because it just aligns with you. Now, because of that, now he got famous in this luck cycle, and his present luck cycle now. Now, Mr. Nigel Ng's chart, from what I could get, the information I could get, his date of birth is at 6:38 p.m., born on the 15th of March, 1991. So from that, his pillars will be, for the year, Yin Metal Goat, The month, Yang metal tiger. The day, Yang wood monkey. And the hour is yin water rooster. Now noticed both he and Jamie Oliver have monkey and rooster in their charts and right next to each other as well, except Nigel has the monkey on his day and the rooster on his hour, and Jamie has the rooster on his day and monkey on his hour. So it's a change there. So in that, on the surface, it looks similar, but it is actually a very different chart. Now, he got famous during the luck cycle, the pig luck cycle, which we just came out of. I think that video got released that he critiqued Jamie Oliver's egg fried rice. I think it's in 2022. Yeah, and we just came out of that. So it's out of that luck cycle. So got famous during the pig luck cycle. And yeah, the pig combines both with his goat and his tiger. Okay, and that said and the goat there on the year means the outside, and the tiger means your work, your money, your career, so to speak. And so that fits in. It elevated him. And so the outside, he got fame from outside, meaning you're the YouTube that created him all this money, and he makes his business out of it, like an entertaining people. And so, yeah, that fits in. And once with the pig, it combined with the tiger and goat, and that created wood and water and became dominant, because then it became dominant wood. And so then he likes wood and water, and so that fitted in. So yeah, his chart became dominant during then. He's just come out of it. So he's now in Yang Fire Dog luck cycle. So different now. So he's changed to something else. And so now his preferred element is water and then wood. Now with the dragon this year in 2024, that combines with the monkey and the rooster, just like Jamie Oliver's, except it's flipped the other side, the other way around. And that combines and creates water for him. And water is a resource. Okay, and so then becomes a resource chart. So he's flipped from being a dominant wood to now being a resource chart. Now, the question is, will Nigel, aka Uncle Roger, and Jamie Oliver get along? Because Uncle Roger in his videos, he has mentioned like he would like to do a collab with Jamie Oliver, meet him and perhaps do a show with him, maybe do some cooking with him. Not sure how that would go down after Jamie's gotten all that flack from Uncle Roger. And Uncle Roger became famous because of Jamie Oliver's egg fried rice. Always very bad attempt at egg fried rice. Look, I have to agree with Uncle Roger on this, that video or that recipe of Jamie Oliver when he was cooking that egg fried rice I've never seen an egg fried rice like that before. And looking at it and knowing what he put in it, the chili jam, I probably wouldn't want to try it either. No offense, Jamie. I think you should stick to Italian. So, if they do a collab together, will they get along? Would it even happen? I have to say, look, April is a dragon month. And with the dragons there, it's not so good for the both of them to be together. So if they do meet, I'll recommend meeting after April to do something together. And then should be okay. So if it does happen, it would be after April. And so the charts alone, will they get along? I would say yes. Very much, as long as it's after April. Because I do have quite a few combinations together. I mean, on this chart alone, Jamie is a rabbit on his year and Nigel is a goat on his year. And rabbit and goat do combine. That's one combination. And he does have the monkey and the rooster, and then flip together. So they should get along well. Look, the snake and on Jamie's month, and Nigel's month is the tiger. That is a bit of a harm, but Jamie's snake on his month, his career does combine with Nigel's rooster and monkey, as well as combining with Jamie's rooster and monkey. And looking for from that, yes, they should get along pretty well. And here Nigel's luck cycle at the moment is the dog. And the dog will combine with Jamie's rabbit on his year, as well as, combining with Nigel's own tiger on his month. And Jamie's luck cycle at the moment is the rat. And the rat, besides combining with his own monkey, will also combine with Nigel's monkey. So you've got a lot of combinations there, and combinations indicate people getting along. And normally, the more combinations both charts have, the stronger. And if we're talking about a romantic relationship, the more combinations, the stronger the attraction. And at that stage, we only talk about attraction. It doesn't necessarily mean that they should marry. We'd understand why people are attracted to each other, but that would account for a lot of, besides attraction, if there's nothing else behind it, then we'd say that is what accounts for all the lust. But without being supported, because being supported, besides the combinations, you have to look at whether or not the combinations are good for each other, because combinations, when they come together, they do form elements. And the elements have to be beneficial for the both of them to be a beneficial match. If the elements might be good for one party, one partner, but bad for the other partner, it means in this relationship, this marriage or whatever, it's more one-sided. One side gets the benefit at the detriment of the other person, even though the attraction might still be there. And sometimes, as you know, you do get attracted to people that are bad for you. And this is one of the things. So we'd like it to be a beneficial match. And this is something that Taoist astrology is very good at. We look past just the attraction stage of that and whether or not people get along to how do they influence you? Are they going to change you? Because they should not change you as a person. And some people do, and that's not good. Even though the attraction is there, we advise against it because that's changing you to something that you're not. Normally, it's not true to your nature. And if something that's not truly true to your nature, you don't tend to do very well. It'll change your life. You've tried to. It's just like, a profession that you're not particularly good at. You change jobs to something normally that suits you, to something like, you might think it'll pay more money or so forth, and you change that, but it doesn't really suit you, and so you end up not doing well in it. So that's kind of the analogy I draw. So we actually advise couples not to pick someone that will change them, no matter how strong the attraction, because it's not good for you in the long run. And like I was saying, it's all about being in the long run, beneficial in the long run, because otherwise it's just a fling. It's someone for fun. And if that's the case, then it's easy. You don't have to go through this. It's just like disposable cutlery and crockery, disposable plates. Yeah. And that's just a sort of thing that you will find out in a relationship compatibility reading. And that's one of the big reasons why I offer it. And I do the readings, which you can book on my website, missdragonfly.com. And book a reading if you've just met someone or you're contemplating getting serious. or so forth, it's best to check them out beforehand before things get too serious. Then it's hard for you to back off. Or if you get to that stage and you want confirmation before you take the final step or to know, then you can. I mean, people say you can always live together to find out beforehand whether or not they're right for you. However, statistically, they have found that for people that have lived together before they married to find out about each other first, divorce rate is higher than people that have never lived together before they're married. Okay, and it's a lot of factors. Some peer psychologists and that would argue, like Jordan Peterson would argue, that then people don't take it seriously, don't take the other partner seriously. When you live together beforehand, it's like, oh, you're okay for the moment, but not for the long term. And you hear people say it all the time, oh, marriage is just a piece of paper, and so forth and so forth. It doesn't affect how we love each other, and it's normally, that sort of thing normally comes from one partner, I find, and the other partner just nods and goes along and parrots the same line, because I find that's normally one person doesn't want to marry and the other person secretly wants to, but goes along because they don't want to rock the boat, or if they know that if they insist on marrying, then the other partner would leave because they don't want to, because they don't want to make that commitment. If marriage is just a piece of paper, then why not just do it? It is legal recognition, and I think, and also a social commitment. And I guess that's what people don't want to do, because they're not too sure of their partner, or they're not proud enough of their partner to make it permanent. And it comes down to they don't see their partner as being good enough to marry. That is what is deep down the reason. Okay? And the other partner has to go along with it or lose the relationship. I mean, like, look, no doubt there is always going to be people like it's going along. They secretly want to marry, but just go along saying, yeah, marry piece of paper. It doesn't matter. Have you ever heard anyone admit to saying, oh, I really want to marry, but he doesn't want to marry, and I'm afraid if I press the issue, then he will leave me? No doubt that happens, but no one is going to admit to that. Okay. All right. Coming back to Nigel and Jamie Oliver, that is them in a nutshell. I mean, Nigel has gotten famous and made a lot of money out of poking fun at Jamie Oliver. And he's able to do it because Jamie Oliver is at his weaker point at the moment. But okay, if they meet up together, they'll get along. But I recommend doing so after April. So that's a big tip for you, Uncle Roger. Okay, and on that, we'll go to some music and we'll be right back. Now, having said that this is about making marriage great again, I need to address a very big issue that some would say against marriage, and I would tend to agree that is a big issue that marriage has to address, which is feminism. Yes, feminism originally started as saying equal rights for women to be allowed to do what we want, to have the career freedom if we want to be paid the same for the same work that we do, and so forth, and for equal rights, legal equal rights. And that was a great thing, that people can have equal rights, equal legal rights. But then after that, I guess now you call it third wave feminism, where the push is wanting women to choose a career over a family. And I guess that what they really want is to put off having kids and a husband, making a career the priority at the moment, not at the moment to start off and build it up, and may not even need, actually, in a lot of quarters, don't want them to be married with children, and saying that's going to stifle your career. You have to think of me. Why go and to an institution where you have to think of other people and cater to other people. Think of yourself and what you want and achieve. Be a leader and so forth. This is the thing that keep pushing being a leader. First of all, is about equal choices, equality of choices and the freedom of choices. And now it's like you've got to be a certain thing, have this avenue, go this avenue, this route to have your career over family and so forth. And I guess now, even if they say, yeah, you want a family or so forth, they want the woman to only take the bare minimum amount of time off work to have the baby and then put the baby into childcare and then go back to work, I think, after a month. And so it won't interfere too much with their career. But at the end of the day, what's the career about? The career about making money, a nest egg, and I guess the thing is, you then you have power as well. Well, in the end of the day, when you get old, what do you have? Look around. What do you have? No, really. That's why they say feminists end up as little old ladies, bitter little old ladies in a flat full of cats, living with just full of cats. No family, no children. And I'd have to say, looking around, there are a lot of single women living with cats. And it seems to be almost be a surrogate children to them, because women are nurturing in nature. We need to nurture something, and if we cannot nurture children, I guess they need to nurture something else. And for a lot of women, it's cats. A lot of single women, it's cats. Is it fair to say that? Well, to one woman, that's probably fair to say that. I've come across an article with the title, Woman in Her 30s Cries Describing Finally Wanting Kids After Swearing Off Marriage. Betrayed by Feminism. Okay, now I'm going to read the article out. It says, when she turned 38, a terror began to take over. Now she wants to warn women not to follow in her footsteps. A woman said she felt betrayed by feminism after deciding she wanted to settle down, have a family and a husband as she approached her 39th birthday. At one point during the interview, she broke down crying, describing how she feared she would end up alone and childless. Well, the thing about childless at that age, it's almost there. Melissa Persling recently wrote an essay for Business Insider titled, I'm 38 and single, and I recently realized I want a child. I'm terrified I've missed my opportunity. She said after it went viral in November, hate began to pour in from men telling her that she's lived a selfish life. Persling has a much different account of her story. When she was 22, she married a traditional man and moved to a rural community in Idaho where she grew up. He wanted a simple life with children and home-cooked meals, she said. However, despite coming from a religious Christian background, made it clear to her husband-to-be that she did not want children. At that time, I felt very strongly I did not want children, that I wasn't going to be like the traditional housewife. I knew I did want to pursue a career, she said in the interview, and I felt very strongly that would never change, and I guess I was wrong. She said both her and her ex thought that love could conquer everything. But after 10 years, it was clear their differences in life goals were irreconcilable. She said she became resentful when he would ask for dinner or his laundry to be done. I did little to hide my disdain for our small town life. He was a good and hardworking man, but I didn't think I made him feel that way, she said. At 30, she and her ex divorced. She swore off the idea of marriage. I told my family and friends I'll never get married again. I needed independence, a fulfilling career, and space to chart my own course. And I didn't think marriage fitted into that vision. I was content to look towards a future without a husband, children, or the trappings of a traditional life, she wrote. As she grew older, however, the fun, carefree lifestyle, being wine and dine, going to parties, began to get old. The pursuit of comfort and self became dull, she said. When she turned 38, terror began to take over. I was panic-stricken. I really thought I'm going to be alone forever. It really scared me. I almost wrote the article as sort of warning to other women. I don't want people to miss out on the important things in life because they're just enjoying themselves, because I don't think that that's ever going to make you happy, really. She wrote in the article how she felt urgency to find a stable relationship and was rethinking about wanting marriage and children. I hardly recognized myself, she said. I also began to feel selfish for spending so much time focusing solely on myself. My very existence started to feel shallow and hollow. In retrospect, she believed she had some self-discovery and work for herself to do, and it took time to sort through previous trauma. Her parents' divorce, which she described as coming from a broken home, took time to heal and sort through to find out what she really wanted. I grew up in a fairly traditional family, but my parents were divorced, and I would say that probably had some effect on my feelings about having a family. Coming from a broken home certainly has its hardships. At one point, she recalled a man coming over to her in a coffee store who randomly told her not to lose hope, that God had a plan for her. And then a happy turn to her story arrived, which she describes as the exception and not the rule for people in her age group. Shortly after penning the article, she dated a man who she previously befriended. They're already talking about marriage and a future. She dished on the details. So it's a guy that I've been friends with, and we've always just sort of stayed in touch. And we did go on one date about a year ago, and I told him, I just want to be friends with you. After her epiphany that she wanted a traditional life, the realization that he was the one hit her like a ton of bricks. This guy is the one that God's been preparing for me, she said. I've had these relationships since when there were so many butterflies and so many like, oh my gosh, checking my number. Did he text? And I realized that's not love. That's an anxiety. I never knew where I stood with those people. I could never envision a future with those people. True. She said she was looking forward to a modest, meaningful, and happy future. Moving into my future, I'm not going to be traveling. I'm not going to have a lot of extra money. I'm not going to be going out for fancy dinners, and I'm okay with that. I'm ready for that. I think that's what's really going to make me happy. Like, I'm so done just making myself happy. You think you're happy when you're doing all these things when you're single to make yourself happy. I don't think you really are. It's the relationships that make you happy. It's building something with another person. It's creating a life with another person. Having goals and plans with another person. It's making other people happy. Making people you love happy. That's happiness. I really don't think I would know true happiness until I'm in that place. While she doesn't consider herself a feminist, she attributed feminism in part as the reason she had thought negatively about marriage. I believe unbelievably betrayed by feminism. And I don't want to put it on the movement entirely because I believe you make your own choices. So she's taking responsibility. But I was constantly fed this idea that women can do anything and everything. We don't really need men. I kind of want to go back to some of those teachers and coaches and say, what do you mean by that? Because we can't do it all. I feel like I'm in a different place now, and I'm so ready for that now. I understand what the sacrifice of marriage is and what the beauty of marriage is now. And I don't think I appreciated what family means for a long time. I don't think I truly understood. She said, I don't care if I ever put on heels and go out to a fancy dinner again. That stuff does not matter. I promise you, young women, it will never make you happy. And that's the end of the article. And so there's lots of things we can take off from that. And we'll go to some music and we'll be right back to discuss the issues that she has brought up. The Relationship Whisperer Show with Miss Dragonfly, where we discuss all things relationships with the aim to make marriage great again. And I would say one of the biggest stumbling blocks or the biggest blockers to making marriage great again is feminism. Now, don't get me wrong, feminism has done some pretty good things, especially in the beginning, in giving women a right to work and so forth outside the home and legal recognition of equal rights and so forth. That's all. I doubt few people would say that was a bad thing. Okay, including me. And I think that was totally fantastic that all that groundwork was done. However, they didn't stop there. They went on to tell women, basically push women, get out of the home, forget about family and children and so forth, to focus on your career. Your career and yourself is the number one important thing. Do what makes you happy. However, one of the things, though, I'll have to say, it's all fine and well women now were able to go out and work. But if you look at it, it started off being women working if they want to. Now women work because they have to rather than they want to because of the economic conditions now. And I'm sure a lot of women would prefer to not have to work, to stay at home with family. Okay, sounds archaic, but in heart of heart, that's what women, I think a lot of women would want, if not secretly want that. But if you think about the economics of it, okay, it all revolves around how much money there is in the economy, then in terms of how much prices cost. So if you have this amount of income generated or this amount of income per household, they can only afford this amount of prices in goods. Okay, but if you double the income, so there's more money supply than and the same amount of goods, then what's going to happen? The prices have to go up. It's that simple. Okay, say you are on a boat, you're starving, you are hungry, someone else has some food. Okay, you steal some food, a bread roll or something, and how much money you've got. If you've got $50 in your pocket, that's how much the bread costs, $50. If you have $100 in your pocket, that's how much the bread is going to cost, $100. So it's just like doubling. It's basically in terms of demand and supply. Not only that, it's how much money there is. So if you had one income households before, and that's how much the family could afford, and that's what everyone had, then the prices of goods had to reflect that, even though, and the amount of goods would be the same, because a 4-person household were on one income alone would still need the same amount of goods. Everyone needs to be fed, 4 people still have to be fed and clothed and so forth with that amount of income. And if you double the income, okay, you still have that amount of food and clothing for the 4 people, but now there's double the money. So what's going to happen to the prices of things? The supply would still be the same, but then the prices would double. It's simple. And so then it became a case of women not working just for financial independence and so forth. They have to, because very few households can now survive on just one income. It's gone to that state. This is just a matter of mathematics, if you think about it. Yeah? And so that is now the bane, gone from women can work to they have to work. It's out of their hands now. And not only that, feminists want women to prioritize career, have career, no family, and go into the careers that are not traditional female careers, such as STEM careers, okay, which STEM stands for, and is short for science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Those were the classes for those courses. You see very few women enrolling in it, even though they might have the marks, because it's not as high in demand as, say, medicine is, where they take a very high mark because of demand side of it. So many people want to do medicine. Okay, and to the STEM fields where women can choose to enroll in them, nothing's stopping them. They're actually encouraged, but they don't want to. Doesn't align. Though the feminists push for that, though they themselves don't want to do that. They want to continue doing their writing and commentary and so forth, instead of doing the STEM fields that they want other women to do, just to prove their point. They're saying, all right for everyone else, but not for me. Okay? I think those feminists are absolute hypocrites. Now, and another thing is, on one hand, it's kind of like saying, yeah, the career is so important. You don't need men. You don't need to rely on a man. Women can do everything. And they advocate, look, if you're going to have a baby, still after take 1 month of maternity leave to physically bear the child, give birth to the child, then ship the child off to childcare, have someone else raise it. And then so you can continue with your career uninterrupted. Only minimize the interruption to, say, a month. Really? And you grow up without the connection to the child. A mother, a woman's nature is nurturing, and she wants to be close to her child far more. And what they want to do, if you don't send the child to daycare or childcare, then have your husband, your partner look after it so you can continue to be the strong, independent woman. I say, why? Why that? And especially if your partner happens to earn more than you do in your career, in your job, does that make any sense to be earning less overall, just to make some statement that the woman can continue with her career to be a strong, independent woman, where her husband or partner might earn a lot more money and not abandon his own career for you. So you continue with yours. How does that make any mathematical sense or financial sense for the family as a whole? Okay? Or they want both parties to cut back and share the load. That was another thing, share the load, so forth. And I was saying, why not allow one person that's better at something to do that? What do you need to prove by everyone doing the same thing? Because not everyone is good at everything. One partner is going to be better at something than the other partner. It doesn't make any sense. It's just like, my husband might earn more than the wife, and or the wife might be the better cook than the husband. Normally, yes, I know the top chefs. Almost all of them are men, but that is basically because the hours in the kitchen are very long, and men have the stamina. They have the physical stamina to take those hours, so they can eventually get to the top, whereas women cannot do those hours. You're talking about 18-hour days. That is very, very long, and especially a woman's not as physically strong as a man. It's very tough on her, and that's basically the reason why you have far more top male chefs than females. But generally, women are better at cooking than men. And so if you split everything in half, the man pulls back so he can do more of the housework and more of the cooking to share that load. And then what do you have? What you end up with is less money overall and lousy meals half the time. For what? To make some statement? Okay, your aim should be to optimize outcome. Okay, get the most money for your family overall and eat the best meals that you can. The best outcome for your family and your family as a unit. But then that comes to not thinking about yourself. You see, what you want to do is what the feminists say. And this is the thing. Yeah, what they want all they don't want women to have families altogether, saying men are not required. But as you know, don't marry. A marriage is a partnership. You are a member of a team. And in a team, you cannot be selfish. You have to put others ahead of you. Think of other people. An example, you might have to think of your kids first. What's better for your children? Heaven forbid you put your children before you. How can that be allowed? And so forth. And then that is why I guess the wedge is really, and that's been being pushed in, and that's being continuously pushed into young women. You don't need a man. You don't need a family. And then like this poor woman in this article, that she felt feminism betrayed her, that she's better off just thinking about herself, going to parties and so forth, enjoying the lifetime. But it's all very superficial, because at the end of the day, what does it all really mean? You come hang at home to an empty house, living on your own. You know, other people have family, and especially like Jordan Peterson says. I watched one of his videos. He said, look, when they're young, so fine and well, be preoccupied with yourself and decide not to have children. But what do you do when you get older? I mean, where you're retired, you're past your working age. Okay, if you managed to become CEO, you got to that level, you would have finished your CEO job. You would have got a lot of money from that profession. Or where you finally ended up live in a nice big house. And I have to say a nice big empty house. Because what then? Your contemporaries, people around your age, they would also have families, you know, their children and grandchildren that they're involved in. You might meet up every once in a while, and that's it. Your siblings, they have their own family. You know, you might interact with them, but they have their own families to think about and look after. They're not going to be around with you all the time. And like I say, your friends, they're all occupied with other stuff. What do? You go have some interests and so forth, but with who? Yourself. And I guess that's where people kind of really feel keenly the loneliness. What value then is money and the prestige that you had from being CEO, so forth. There's nothing. You've been a has-been, former this, former that. And then what do? How fulfilling. Like this woman, yeah, she tried. Initially, she married young, but then thought she was too good for it, so to speak, because she married a traditional man and she didn't want children and home-cooked meals, simple life. She thought that was just, I think, I'm reading between the lines, it's beneath her, that she can do better than that. She's meant for better things, so forth. And then when she got to 38, it really hit her. She's alone when she comes home. All those fancy dining outs, what does it mean? He gets temporary happiness. You fulfill that, but it's all and going out with friends, it's all very superficial. Over good and nice and chat, but those friends of yours, they're not going to have your back. Okay, they do not have a vested interest in what happens to you in your life. They might give you some advice, or if you're sick, come drop by some takeaway, and that's very good friend would do that. But and what else? And so forth. You really are alone. And she said, yeah, when she was 38 and single, it just hit her. She's got nothing. And then she had to assess what she really wanted, what she really needed. And that was a simple life with a husband and children, having a family of her own. And in that way, I feel for her, but she was very lucky in that she did manage to find someone at that age of 39. So I hope it works out well for her. But like she said, she felt betrayed by feminism to tell her that wouldn't family, she doesn't need family. It will hold her back. It won't bring her happiness. Only she can do that by being on her own and so forth. And she eventually found out that was a lie. Okay, and another big thing that I have to tell women is, women, look, I heard this before. Someone mentioned this, and I'm going to use it because it's actually true. I agree with it. In terms of currency, a woman's currency is her youth and beauty. I know it sounds archaic, sexist, misogynistic, if you would, but at the end of the day, popular women and what people want to see are what young women, even on TV. You notice a lot of news readers are younger women, whereas the men are older, and so forth. And models, yeah, they're young. You have the very few exceptions with older models, but that's a very niche thing. It does not happen often where they're known. And the man's currency, his value is his resources. So women are born rich, okay, start off young and beautiful, and men are born poor. They don't have the resources yet until they work and start building it up. And as they get older, the wealthier they become, the more resources they have behind them. So women are born rich and steadily become poorer as they age, where your youth and beauty starts fading, your currency and your value, and men become richer as they age, as they accumulate more resources. And resources, for those still not familiar with the term, meaning money and assets behind them that they can provide for a family. And that's why wealthy men are never short of offers. And women pushing the line, you can see, doesn't matter how ugly the man is, as long as he's a billionaire, he has models clamoring around all around him. So and it's not uncommon to see a wealthy man with a pretty young thing on his arm. Come on. And a lot of women, when they're dating and they're asked what's the minimum he has to earn, they put hundreds of thousands and $1 million or so forth. He has to earn that much to be with me, but they don't think, what do you have to offer in return? Why would someone that wealthy or have that much resources want to pick you when they've got so many other offers? How do you stand out? But that's a separate thing. So a woman's value, her greatest value is in her youth. That's when she takes advantage. And you notice that women, when they're in 20s, they're popular. They think that they have so much time. They can take their time choosing while they just lap it up the attention with all this male attention and men wanting to date them and so forth. And then once they hit their 30s, then they panic. Because now they're competing for the same group of men with women in their 20s. And so their value starts to decline, and men also take a step back and fear that, she's hitting the panic button because how many more years does she have to be fertile, to have children? So, they seem to be desperate to find. And that's not a good look. Look, it's just like houses. I mean, people need to sell it when the market's hot, okay, and not when the market is down or things deteriorate. It's just like fruit and vegetables. I mean, they try to sell it when it's just freshly picked. They get a different price. Then it's a few days old or a few weeks old. If you've been to a supermarket and you've seen the stuff near expiry date, especially, meats and so forth, heavily slashed because they need to get rid of it, or the fruit and vegetables sometimes, or things near its expiry date for pantry items as well, they're heavily reduced just to clear the stock. But if it's just something that just came in, no way. And this is the thing what I say what young women need to do when they're at their prime market peak or market value. That's when they should be getting married. They then have the power to pick of the best that they can at that age. So they can command prime prices. And that is high value men, a good man. A man that has resources and is a good man, not a player or playboy or so forth. It's simple like this woman. She married a 22-year traditional man, and he was just a hardworking, a good man. versus the longer you wait, where your market value goes down, instead of being on the front shelf, the prime location shelf, you're then put into the clearance bin, or you're put on sale, so to speak. And so your price has to keep going down, 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 down sale. And you have to basically accept lower offers. The men might not be very good. They might not be earning anything. He might have, needs a lot of work, difficult men or so forth. And you have to take it. It's the best offer you can get. So rather than being in that position where you're a taker, a price taker, rather than a price maker, a price setter, when you're young, in your 20s, be the price setter. Okay? So you can pick a good man. That's why the term when women say, "Where have all the good men gone?" Well, they've already married. Yeah, it's just kind of like the running joke that they say about car parking spaces. Men are like car parking spaces. All the good ones are taken, the rest are disabled. I'm sure it's a joke that they play, but it really refers to this situation. Where have all the good men gone? Well, they've all been married to the good women. And not only that, the women, they were in their prime, in their 20s. So that's something to think about. We'll go to some music and we'll be right back with more. Now, as I was saying, feminism is really driving a wedge between men and women. Modern feminism now, I have to correct myself and say. And this is really, like I was saying, because they're doing that, it is really also an attack on marriage. I mean, modern feminism now, it really disdains and looks down on marriage, saying that is archaic and so forth. And it seems to want women to be alone, really. Just look after themselves and no one else. Don't think of anyone else, which is, I'd have to say, they want them to be selfish. Think of yourself. Yes, the thing is, it's like you're going on a trip on your own and so forth. You can go wherever you want. You don't have to make an agreement with the other person or discuss where you're going to be going together, because you don't have that. Then you don't need to. You go on your whim, wherever you want, see whatever you want, do whatever you want. That's all fine and well, but your journey is going to be lonely. Really, you might meet people along the way and talk to them and so forth, but it's not the same thing, because they are not going to be on the journey with you. And if you see some things and experience things, there's no one to turn around and discuss it with them, share and so forth. So it can be a lonely trip. I mean, just think of going by yourself on the trip versus going with someone else. Okay, it doesn't have to be an obstacle with someone else. If they also want to go where you do, then not only do you get to go where you want to go, but you have someone there to accompany you as well. And so if anything happens, you fall ill on the trip or have an accident, there is someone there to assist you and to watch your back as well. Because there are also, when you're traveling, there are lots of things you have to look out for. So you don't get taken advantage of or be scammed or so forth and so forth. Another set of eyes and another mind as well. And together and with your best interests as well. So it's just the same thing in life. Being absolutely single, going through life on your own versus going along with a partner that also wants to go where you want to go, have the same goals, and you also get support from your partner. It is absolutely fulfilling being able to share things with people, your experiences and so forth, and someone that actually gives a damn about you. Because you know why? Because they're in the same boat as you are. What happens, then this is something that a lot of young people don't think of, And I guess even married people who are not really in the marriage, so to speak, even though they're physically there and legally there, they're not really in the marriage. You're supposed to share a life together. And so far, be a unit. Two becomes one, and the unit becomes greater than the sum of its parts. You can do far more things together than you achieve far more things together than you can on your own. Provided, of course, that your partner is also on board and works with you on the same thing. So it can be very fulfilling, a marriage, and of course with the right person. That is a given. But the thing with feminism, they want women to be selfish. Just think of themselves and hammer in that you don't need anyone. You'll be happy on your own. Yeah. Until they become older and look around and thinking, and like this poor woman that felt betrayed by feminism, she realized it's empty. Being on your own and have nothing else but an empty apartment to come home to, it's empty. It's not fulfilling. There's so many fancy dinners you can go out to and so many parties you can go out to. You don't have, yes, true. You don't have to be answerable to anyone else or have obligations or being responsible for anyone else like you would if you had children. But then you have nothing. Really, a bit of money, some friends, which can be fickle. They come and go, and so forth. Now and then, and again, you might find a friend, and people might find friends that they become lifelong friends, and it's a great thing. However, those friends also have their own life and their own families to look after. So they only, you only see them every once in a while. At that, and that's the bane of it. And so, and kind of saying men are useless, they are hindrance. I think, of course, men and women are needed. Not just society, I mean, just the energetics of it. And this is the thing. I mean, a lot of people have seen the yin-yang symbol, okay, where one side is white and one side is black, and they say, yeah, yin, yang, it's cool. And I really laugh at it especially when I see leftists and progressives having that around, but advocating for, I don't know, being feminists or so forth, and saying, you don't need to be married or so forth, or other forms of alternate relationships are the same, which is not, because they don't understand what it really is saying is the masculine and the feminine as well. And then two combines together to form that unit. And it's necessary, just like in the universe, you have to get the yang and the yin energies together to have harmony. It's just like in energies, you have night and day, right hand and left hand. On its own, not too much good. You need both. It's just like you have daytime all the time without nighttime, things die. And you have nighttime all the time without the day, things die. And just imagine, using just one your right hand or your left hand. The amount that you can do drops is not just by half, by more than half. If you you can try that and see how far you get, because there's certain things, and just the energetics of their children need to be raised in a family, really, with a mother and father, because of the energetics of a yin and a yang. Because I said, children need that exposure. They need to be exposed to the energies of both, because the influence of both, that's how harmony goes on forth. You need both, the energetics. That's why they do. I mean, you could think a child's relationship with its mother and its father, the dynamics are totally different. And, for a lot of children that's come from broken homes or being raised by just single parent families, you see a lot. I mean, 70% of the people that are in jail come from single parent families. So obviously you do need, and it's often, it's just raised by the single mother. The father is not there. that clearly demonstrates that you need the masculine presence. You need to have both for the balance. A child, especially men, need to have the father figure there to guide and set an example. And for girls, same thing. The girls that are raised by single mothers end up marrying younger and having all the other types of issues, as well as also they tend to not have very good relationships because they haven't had that father figure in the relationship to be familiar with the energetics of a man and how you relate to men as well, and how the mother and the father, the dynamics there, how that works. Clearly, you with everything, the masculine and the feminine. I mean, think of a workplace. You have a workplace full of men. Okay, there are problems. And you have another workplace full of women. You get other problems. However, when you have them both together, intermingling and working together, everyone just naturally behaves themselves. It's funny. It's just like you don't have too masculine energy, you don't have too feminine energy. You have the balance there. And the balance there is necessary. And we, men and women, as they're saying, just like in the yin and yang, according to yin and yang philosophy, belong together. And they should need to work together. So for society to function, men and women need to work together. They all have their separate, different roles because we're all good at different things, and what we're good at is just as important. So the feminists are pushing for women to be like men and doing the stuff that men traditionally do to prove that we're just as capable of men, we're equal to men. Well, I'm sorry to say, by saying that, you've just reaffirmed it. You've just agreed with the misogynists that said only what men are capable of, what they do, are more important. All the stuff that women traditionally do, nursing, caring for children, have no value, not as important as men. It's what the feminists have just said. I don't know why they don't point out, they have a better time to point out the role of women have traditionally done in throughout history, that theirs is just as important, and the contribution to society that they've done. That is true feminism. That is showing equality. And this is the big thing they keep pounding, and I guess it makes people confused as to what equality is. They're equating equality meaning the same. And it's not just feminists. I keep hearing it repeatedly, equality, gender equality. And gender equality, when they're really referring to them being the same. And I even picked out, I watched quite a few Jordan Peterson's videos, and he's guilty of that, confusing equality with being the same. Men and women are not the same. And it's a great thing that we're not the same, because then we can do the tasks, we're good at the tasks that the other one is not at. It's just like a right hand and a left hand is not the same, and it's a great thing that they're not the same. I mean, imagine having two right hands or two left hands. Is that a preferred situation? Or if you had it, it's just like you have a society and men and women do the same things. Yeah, or you have women, everyone doing STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and everyone being CEOs, that's so forth. So who's going to do all the childcare, the nursing, the aged care work, or the teaching? Who's going to do that? It needs to be done. And at the moment, we are experiencing, in a lot of countries, a nursing shortage. And we're feeling the effects of it. So clearly, this is needed. And so forth. It's just like, the left hand may not be as, for most people, which are right-handed, the majority of people that are right-handed, their right hand is the dominant hand. When you first pick up something, you use your right hand, and so forth. So over time, your right hand becomes stronger than your left hand. That is a given. But to tell you, okay, your left hand is weaker, how about you do away with the left hand? Ask someone that. And would you want to do away with your left hand since you don't really use it? The right hand's more important. No, is what they usually say. Because then it will dawn on them that the left hand is very important and needs to be on the left side, not have two right hands. And so forth. Or if they want men, now this is another push I've been seeing. It seems like they want women to be like men and men to be like women. And so they're trying to push for more advertising when advertisers come up to show women doing the lawn mowing and men doing more of the cooking and cleaning and so forth. I mean, what for? Why do you want to do that? Why can't people do what they want to do? And naturally, because it's a natural instinct, women, because they're better at it, cooking and cleaning, it comes more naturally to them than doing physical labor, which is like a lawn mowing the lawn is far more physical. It's just like them wanting cats to bark and dogs to meow. What for? A cat is a cat, and it has value as a cat. It has certain features of a cat. That's what we expect, and we love it. Well, people love the cat for being a cat, and the dog, it has the qualities of a dog. You accept the dog for what it is, and we love the dog for what it is. We don't want them to be like a cat half the time, or a cat to be like a dog half the time. So why do we want humans to be like that? Do we not have value as we are? Are women, women as women, do women as women not have any value? That we're not as important as men because we don't do the work that the men traditionally do? This is the thing. Whenever any discussion about gender equality comes up, it's all about women doing the same things as men. And so they equate equality with being the same. Why do we need to be the same? No one's pointing this out, not even Jordan Peterson, which I was surprised at. But then again, academics and psychologists, I can say, they miss the blooming obvious. Okay, and that's why I see so many relationship advice they give and so forth. They all miss the obvious. And that is, well, for relationships, it's very simple. Just marry the partner, the person that you're naturally compatible with. And then you've already gone a long way to making it work. It's so simple, they miss the blooming obvious. And other things they will also miss is, and that no one's pointing out the great contribution that women have made throughout the ages. And it is heaps. And I don't know why that. And now, even wanting to feminize men and talking about toxic masculinity and so forth, to downgrade the traditional role of men in society. And I find that that's absolutely terrible. But we are coming to the end of the show, and that is a discussion for another day. So we've come to the end of the show. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. A bit different in terms of who I've done the reading for. All you have to do is go on YouTube, and you see what I mean if you search for Uncle Roger. Okay. Then you can see why I've done the reading for them. But in very big discussion, an issue that needs to be addressed if we are to make marriage great again is the role of feminism and what's that in play, what's the role that it's played in really attack on marriage, the institution of marriage. As marriage is very important to society. It's what society was traditionally based on and built on. So it needs to be protected and needs to be advocated for. And I find that very few people have advocated for that. But it is very important.